worth all the time we have to put in this topic, but I'm really amazed that you're all here and still paying attention and ready for a discussion, I hope. So I'll try to be brief. My name is Marietje Schaake. I'm a member of the European Parliament for D66 political party. We're part of the ALDE group, which is a political family of liberal and democratic parties from all European countries. I was elected in the recent European elections last June after a campaign where we had intense debates and where it was possible to actively criticize the government, and I think today it's good to keep in mind that that's actually a luxury that we often forget is one, and I was actually happy with your criticism too, because it's good that you challenge us as politicians in what we can do. And so I will share a little bit of what I believe I can do as an individual and what the European Parliament has done as a whole and the European Union's institutions have done. My involvement with the human rights situation in Iran stems from a history of being involved with human rights issues, civil rights issues, and feeling very committed to that issue. And I've once promised to someone who's very dear to me that I would not be a bystander, and I try to continue that in my political life. I actually believe human rights are a key motivator for me to do what I do, and human rights, and specifically Iran at the moment, are a key focus of what I'm doing. First of all, I would like to thank the witnesses who were brave to share their stories. It's really touching and another motivation and reminder to not forget, to not let down. And I hope that being moved to tears translates into being moved to action, because that's really what we need to do. But the two sometimes go together, so thank you very much for doing that. And I want to thank the organizers for putting this all together. I'm humbled to be part of this distinguished panel, and it's just very special also to meet Shadi Sadr, who I indeed nominated for the Sakharov Prize, and so I feel like we have a connection, and I'm glad that we now have a chance to meet. So thank you, and thank you for offering a moment to look at the European perspective in this, because indeed the different European countries have an active role to play, but there is a lot to be said for a Europe that speaks with one voice in the world and a European approach to human rights. Europe is the only continent that does not have the death penalty, for example, and I believe that we have to hold others to that high standard that we enjoy every day. When I spoke at this protest gathering in Amsterdam that was called United for Iran, I met with Shireen Ebadi. It was a very moving moment, and that's where I decided that we needed to do what we could in the short run to focus on the human rights situation in Iran, and one of the opportunities was the nomination to the Sakharov Prize. And I just want to explain why I believe it's so important, because, as Professor Akkerman said as well, on the one hand there are those very visible events such as the uprising against the elections of the last June in Iran that went over the world thanks to new media, but on the other hand they are only building on a layered set of events of protest, sometimes anonymous and very silent protests that have been ongoing. And one of the striking facts in the past summer's election demonstrations were the equal participation of men and women. And we all know that there is no equality between men and women in Iran society today. And so those who fight for this equality in both criminal law, but also in the workplace and in family law, deserve all the help they can get, because it's only through ordinary Iranians that are sometimes not seen by the rest of the world, that are joining forces and that are brave enough to stand up and to continue to stand up, that we can actually make a difference. And so this people-to-people connection, the European Parliament being the house of the European people and awarding this prize to a human rights defender in the name of all the Iranian people, I believe was a very important way to put Iran on the agenda, and is a way to keep it on the agenda as well, because we've all spoken about human rights in the Foreign Affairs Committee, in the Human Rights Committee, in the Development Cooperation Committee. So that's the part of the individual commitment that we as European parliamentarians can take. The ALDE group has a long history of focusing on human rights, equal treatment, particularly to end the death penalty and to end violence against minors, people who are underage, but also violence against homosexuals, standing for free expression and free democratic assembly, equal treatment of women and minorities, which are all issues that in Iran are under grave threat, unfortunately. And I strongly believe that an act of injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, so that we have to address these issues wherever we find them. And I'm glad to be part of a political family that does. The European Parliament as a whole has taken a heavy interest in Iran. Over the past 2 years, there have been 7 resolutions passed specifically on Iran, and that is a high number in the scheme of resolutions that are passed. I just want to highlight a few of the issues that are mentioned in these resolutions. One is juvenile executions. The other one dealt with the arrest and detention of Rexana Saberi, and the other condemned repression and persecution and threats against Shireen Ebadi, as well as the closure of the Center for the Defense of Human Rights in Iran. Another resolution was passed condemning the repression of civil society movements in Iran, such as the 1 Million Signatures campaign, and the other was a call to develop proposals and projects that could be financed within the framework of the European institutions and the instrument for democracy and human rights that the European Union has. And another resolution urged the UN General Assembly to vote on a resolution explicitly and decisively condemning the violation of human rights in Iran. In the annual report on human rights, there was a significant chapter on Iran, and when we look at the other elements of the European institutions, such as the European Council, Javier Solana has focused on Iran, but has had a relatively more intense focus on the geopolitical elements, such as the nuclear challenge. And that's what I wanted to spend some time talking to as well, because I'm particularly worried that the nuclear issue will be an opportunity for the regime to reunite people, because even if there's a lot of disagreement and a lot of diversity among the Iranian people, the threat of not being allowed to develop nuclear technology could in fact unite people. And so I want to emphasize that I believe that with all our diverse views and without agreeing on everything, we should be united on human rights and also try to implement this in the European policy schemes. And so I want to pose 2 questions and 1 proposal to you. One is, how can we, the European people, and for myself as a representative of the European people, reach out to and strengthen the Iranian people's voices, to give them hope and to effectively prevent violence, torture and executions without strengthening the hardliners and the current regime. It's a tool to condemn strongly the human rights violations of the regime, but I'm curious what your experiences are and the effect of these condemnations, and also the possible counter effect where it strengthens the hardliners in saying, you know, we have to stand up against these criticisms from Europe, United States, etc. And I would like to pick up the glove that Professor Artavan put to me and talk to you about how the European Parliament could most effectively use international justice instruments to set in motion the bringing to justice and the end of impunity of the current regime against its own people. So I hope we can continue this conversation, and I would like to propose that I work out a urgency resolution tomorrow to condemn the possible executions of the 3 demonstrators that have been prosecuted or are set to get the death penalty, so I can work out an urgency resolution on that to put urgent pressure on the President. About how we can be most effective both in international justice and in the international community's responses from Europe to Iran, to actually reach out to the people of Iran and strengthen their call for democracy and freedom. So, thank you.